Hello, everyone, and welcome to Growing Up with Godzilla Episode 2. My name is Donny Winter, and I'm really excited to have you here. Part of my mission with this show is I want it to be an ongoing series where I have conversations with Godzilla fans about how the films and characters in our favorite franchise have helped us grow over the years. And considering how much we love these films and characters, their influence on how we grow, well, I think should be talked about. It deserves conversation. So this is going to be a fun opportunity because it'll give me an opportunity to nerd out with other people about why we love Godzilla and where our journeys began. So for this episode, I'm having my first guest, who is my dear friend and twin, Kaiju Kim. So hello, Kaiju Kim. Welcome to Growing Up with Godzilla. It's great to have you. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, Donny. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
I know it's always fun, like when we do streams or videos together, because we just have this tendency of nerding out big time and being
Definitely.
entertaining. Well, I'd like to think we're entertaining while we do it. So
I would hope so too. I think we are because we get along well because we're twins.
Right. So obviously, in order to have this conversation, I think it's important for us to start at the beginning, right? So, how were you first introduced to Godzilla? Tell me your story.
All right. So I'm pretty sure I've shared this story before, like even on your channel, on my channel, on other podcasts and stuff like that. But I'm always happy to share it again. Let's see. I was just a wee toddler. Just like
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I break into a British accent. I don't know where it comes from. And
I love it, darling.
it doesn't help that I'm a bit hyper.
Yeah, we're like zooming on pots of coffee right now. So,
Whee! Okay, cool. So,
uh,
sorry.
it's giving me life.
Okay. So, my dad introduced me to Godzilla when I was very, very young. Um, I remember watching King Kong versus Godzilla, specifically the scene where Godzilla had just come out of the iceberg and he's heading towards the army base or whatever. And I remember having a blanket and I pull it over my head because he looks scary. Because there's a giant monster with sharp teeth and he's coming towards me and he's going to eat me. That's what a 3-year-old thinks at the time. But yeah, I grew up being a little scared of Godzilla, but obviously my fascination with Godzilla overpowered my fear. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. I know how to word. Words are hard.
What are words? I have no idea.
Uh,
I think it's interesting that you mentioned King Kong versus Godzilla because that same scene was actually scary for me as well as a kid. And I think it's because there was so much suspense about it. Like we see this like very strangely colored iceberg that's being investigated, and then we know that the people in the submarine's going to die. But then like when Godzilla emerges and is like slowly looming toward shore, like it, like just the sounds he was making, like the fact that he seemed
yeah.
motionless, like I don't know, that seemed scary. Like there were a couple of instances in that film where I found Godzilla to be particularly scary. That other scene where I think they were attempting to lure him into like that
Pit.
ravine. Yeah, and he's like one of the main characters like falls to the ground. She's like, ah! And then Godzilla's like looming, and it seemed really scary to me. So I love that was like your first introduction, though. Would
Yeah.
you say that King Kong versus Godzilla is one of your favorite films because of that, or do you have other
Absolutely.
favorite?
I do
Absolutely.
have I do have other favorites, but King Kong versus Godzilla is one of my favorites because it was my very first Godzilla movie. But if I were to pick my number one favorite, if anyone knows me, they already know the answer to this question. My number one favorite Godzilla movie is the American cut of Godzilla 2000. It was the
Oh,
Shock.
what?
Horror.
I had no idea.
What? Oh my
It's like
god.
the reaction people have when they know that I like Mothra. They're like, well,
Oh,
duh, of course you like Mothra.
But yeah, Godzilla 2000 was the first official Godzilla movie that I saw on the big screen, which was awesome.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
That is a good film. I think an underrated one too, in my opinion. Do you think that that film's underrated?
I think so. Yeah, I don't think it gets enough love, I feel like.
Well, I think like when we think about like how many times Godzilla has been rebooted, a lot of people really focus on like Shin Godzilla or the Return of Godzilla in the 80s, but Godzilla 2000 seems to get skipped over sometimes. And I think we should change that. Damn it.
I think so too. It kind of gets overshadowed by GMK because that's the most popular Millennium film, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, GMK is a fantastic film, but Godzilla 2000 has its merits too.
it does. And Godzilla Tokyo SOS for obvious
Yeah,
reasons.
of course you love that one. Why? Well, I mean, come on.
So aside from Godzilla 2000, for that, first theatric experience and King Kong versus Godzilla being like that very nostalgic first moment, what would you say is like, do you have like any supplemental favorite Godzilla films? Like if you were to pick like a second or third favorite, what would they be and why?
All right, how much time we got?
We
Okay.
have an eternity and I love it.
Oh man, so I mean, obviously the original Gojira from 1954 is fantastic. I love the cinematography. I love everything about it. It's just so wonderful. And
Classic.
then yeah. And then the polar opposite of that would be Godzilla versus Megalon. I absolutely love that film.
It's amazing. I actually used to really hate that film, but then over the years, like, I dislodged my head from my rectum and was like, actually, this is pretty good. There's a little bit of everything that's amazing in this film.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know it has its flaws. It has a lot of flaws, but come on, guys. It's just like it's Godzilla. I don't think it was ever meant to be taken like super seriously, but like just remove the stick from your butt and just enjoy the movie.
Or your head, like in my case. Um, but well, like, and I think that's the appeal of a lot of the Showa era, right? Like, there were just films where you could just kind of like you didn't have to overthink the film going into it. You could just watch it and enjoy it for the fact that it is entertainment. I also feel that way about Godzilla versus Megaguirus. I know a lot of people like if we think Godzilla 2000 is glossed over, Godzilla versus
Mhm.
Megaguirus is like hellaciously
Yeah,
glossed
I have
over.
I have heard not nice things about that film.
Yeah, but I will go down with the ship defending it until my dying breath. It's not perfect by any means, but I do think it's really funny. And it again, like the Showa era, it had like elements in it that really kind of made it easy to just watch it without having to overanalyze or overthink. Granted, that's one of my vices. I overanalyze everything. So, um now, are there any particular kaiju or human characters that you're drawn to? If so, why?
That I'm drawn to.
Or
Hmm.
favorites?
I mean, Miki Segusa sticks out to me probably because the Heisei era is my favorite era in general of all the Godzilla movies, and she's in like most of the movies. And she has a little bit of character development that you kind of like grow with her. I mean, granted, they could have handled her a little better towards the end of the Heisei era, but I do like her character in general.
Good selection. And again, that's another reason why we're twins because she's one of my favorites as well. Yeah, like I completely agree with you about the development toward the end because I do think there were a couple of misfires in the Heisei era with her development. One of them being her role in Godzilla versus Mothra, which is one of my favorite films, but I'm just angry that she was kind of sidelined in it. But in at the end of the Heisei era, like they do a lot of character development for her in Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, but then in Destroya, like it's like, okay, well, what happened with this relationship that you were pursuing? Like, why are you suddenly losing your powers? Like, what, like there could have been a lot more development, right? But
Mhm.
but ultimately, okay, so particular kaiju favorite.
Biolante.
And why is that?
Because she's cool and I like roses.
She is iconic, and I would say she's probably my second favorite. I really love gushing about Godzilla versus Biollante because I feel like it as a film stands out in several unique ways compared to like other films. Like it seems more grungy, more historically rooted in the time in which it was released. Um, and there was just like a really gritty realism about it that I thought was fun. Terrifying at first when I was a
Yeah.
kid, used to Godzilla versus Megalon, and then suddenly I see like Godzilla being impaled by vines. Like that was,
That was always
yeah,
so painful. Ugh.
I know.
But yeah, I also like Biolante. I like the idea of like a human spirit being infused. Is that the right word? Into a kaiju type thing.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good point because it's one of the first films to kind of get like, what's the word? I don't want to say spiritual, but like metaphysical kind of, and we really like it almost becomes a mystery too because we don't really know to what extent was her soul bound to this creature.
Mhm.
Like I don't know about you, but I could write a lot of fan fiction about like the ramifications of that, but well, we'll save
Funny
that
you
for a
should
later.
mention that. Mm.
Are you writing fan fiction?
Maybe.
Oh my god.
I might have something cooking behind the scenes.
Oh,
Maybe.
well, I look forward to more details on that. As a fan fiction writer as well, I tend to nerd out about such things. So, if you were to like think about who you are today, like obviously you have, we all spend moments in our lives, growing and looking toward these characters that we love and almost they kind of grow with us as well. So how would you say that Godzilla has shaped you into the person you are right now?
I would say that Godzilla had a huge impact on my creativity. I'm obviously a YouTuber, and I love talking about Godzilla. Like growing up, I always was surrounded by people who would like tell me, well, not directly tell me to shut up when I'm talking about Godzilla, but they would be clearly uninterested. So I just like, but I want to talk about it. So I made my own YouTube channel talking about it. And after a while, it grew, and now I have my own talk show, which is kind of ironic because I'm an introvert having a talk show. Yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, I've actually met a bunch of awesome people through the Godzilla community, including you, twin.
Oh, I'm honored. Like, I think that's amazing though. Like, and I can really relate with what you said because like I've spent a lot of my life having people kind of listen to me or at least try to listen to me and be like, "Oh god, there he goes again talking about Godzilla. Like how annoying is that?" And I really think that for me as well, YouTube and, writing fan fiction became like an outlet for me and like you eventually started drawing people into my life like you and like a bunch of other people with similar interests who've been able to like bond over that. Like for a long time I've talked to people about like how um Godzilla has helped me grow as a person. Um and I know that there are some people who would scoff at that, right? Because usually those are the people who really don't get invested in um characters like this. But when you have characters who at some points in your life might be the only thing that you can turn to for escape or for enjoyment, like that's unbelievably significant, right? So truthfully, it sounds like you were saying, like, that Godzilla's helped you open up in a way that's comfortable for you, right? Being that we're both introverts, I definitely relate with that. Isn't that interesting how, like, we introverts have kind of just fallen in love with, like, creative outlets like YouTube? Like, if anybody were to, like, encounter me at, like, a grocery store, I'd be like, "Oh,"
No, people, humans, no, get away.
crawl to my hole like Gollum, but, like, but the moment we're on here, I'm just like, well,
Yay.
not doing that exactly, but,
Essentially, like, in our heads, we're
still
doing that, but we're
being
no.
asinine in some way because that's one of my favorite things to do. Would you consider yourself a collector of Godzilla memorabilia?
Well, let's take a look.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, what? I would have never gathered, right? So, I also like collecting. I don't collect as much as I used to, but when did you start collecting figures, and why is collecting significant for you?
Well, I actually didn't really start collecting until my very first G Fest, which is G Fest 2018. And I went into the dealer's room and I just spent all of my money, and
I did
that's
too.
fantastic. Go, there goes my paycheck for the week.
I am so frustrated that we were at the same G Fest, but did not encounter each other.
That's so rude. You know what? We should meet up at this G Fest if you're going. I don't know if you're going or not.
I'm planning on it, so I take it you're planning on it as well.
Yes.
Yes, I am definitely planning on going, so we'll have to meet up and hang out and maybe do a video or 2, we'll see.
That would be awesome.
So when did it begin? Okay, you said you collected at G Fest, right?
Mm.
Did it start before then at any point, or was it strictly being exposed to the dealer's room being like that wow moment?
Probably the latter because I had Godzilla toys when I was a kid, but they were like kind of like knockoff toys, a little almost. Like I don't remember what brand they were, and I don't remember where I put them. They're just like probably somewhere in the bottom of my dad's basement, and yeah. But yeah, as far as Godzilla stuff goes, when I first walked into the dealer's room at G Fest, that's when it was like, Godzilla stuff. I'm surrounded by Godzilla stuff. And then I just like, take all my money. Take it.
Yep. Oh my goodness. And it's funny. I also feel that way when I go into Artist Alley at G Fest. Because the thing that I really collect now more than figures, because I used to collect figures, but now I'm like I buy art. Like I will go into Artist Alley and come out with like a dozen art pieces and then come home and be like, where the hell am I gonna hang this stuff?
I had the same problem with figures. Like I buy a bunch of figures and then I'm like, I have no room on my shelf for these. Like, look, like you can even see, I don't know if you can tell because it's kind of dark, but in my corner right there, that's stuff I don't have room for.
That's amazing. See, I have, like, I would have to move my camera and it'd probably mess it up, but I have like some figures over here and some art up here. Um, but I ended up not having any behind me because I, of course, I have to do like work meetings and stuff like that. Not that I'm ashamed of anybody seeing my Godzilla stuff. I would have
Oh,
no
I
problem,
don't.
but
This is my workstation. Like they,
oh God,
they
yeah, I don't blame you.
I
I
know, like
see,
this is me. If you don't like this, then bye.
See, I think part of me, the reason why I have it like in front of me is so I can like just sit here and look at it instead of do work. Like and just be like, oh my God, that's so pretty. Or oh my God, that figure, it's perfect. I want to play with it, even though I shouldn't. My partner gets mad at me because he's like, why are you taking figures out of boxes? You should keep them in there. Like they'll be expensive one day. And I'm like, but can I have one at least that I can play with? Because I don't know, like I'm in my mid 30s. I still enjoy like picking up a figure and pretending to destroy a city with it. Like,
I mean, who doesn't? Like,
right?
come on, guys. We're kids at heart.
I
But
know.
listen, this isn't Godzilla related, but I do have a Power Rangers Power Morpher with all the power coins, and I'm very, very tempted to play with it, but it's still in the box.
That sounds amazing. I would like, yeah, I would play with that too. So now, like, I kind of have to compromise with myself and be like, all right, if I buy a figure, then I have to buy one version of it in a box, and then the other version of it can be one that I take out of the box. It has been rather costly,
Mhm.
um, but fun. I've also been kind of like getting into like collecting like shirts and like other things like that. I swear half of my fashion is literally Godzilla shirts or band t-shirts.
Same.
Yeah.
It's a
Another reason why
band
we're
Godzilla
twins.
t-shirts, band t-shirts, sweatshirts from states I've been to. You
Yeah.
name it.
Oh my goodness, I can so relate with that. Obviously, there are Godzilla fans out there who are maybe just getting into the franchise, or they might not really know how to engage with other Godzilla fans. Like, do you have like any insight for them about what they should do, who they should surround themselves with, where they should go?
Avoid Twitter at all costs. No. Um
Ugh, you're not wrong. You are not wrong.
I mean, I guess it depends on who you follow. Just be wary of that. Be wary of gatekeepers. You know, those people who are like, "Oh, you're not a true fan if XYZ." Yeah, those people you want to avoid, but you want to surround yourself with people who are like, like, "Oh, I like this movie and it's good times for everybody." And, just put yourself out there. I know that sounds cliche, but really that's the only way you can like interact with other people. I mean, I've had to put myself out there to promote my YouTube channel. I ended up making some fantastic friends. So yeah, just go out there.
I like that you mentioned that, especially with like the gatekeeping. Like, because the truth is, and I always hear this from people, people are always surprised at like how large the Godzilla fandom is. Um Especially people who are outside of it, but when you're inside the Godzilla fandom, like there are many, many different communities that one can examine or look at or become a part of. And I'm not gonna lie, like even for me, it's been difficult. Like I've had to leave communities, I've had to join new communities, and I don't think there's any shame in doing that. But I do agree with you about putting yourself out there. That's probably the most difficult part of it. Especially if you're like introverted, like we are, like putting yourself out there can be extremely intimidating. It can be um almost overwhelming, I would say. But and I like with regard to Twitter, I do agree. I do think that there are a lot of gatekeepy people on Twitter, but I think that can be the case with almost any social media outlet too. So I think like no matter what one you choose, just make sure that you exercise caution and but don't let that prevent you from being who you are and putting yourself out there. Oh, I'm nerding out. That was the perfect sentiment, my friend. So, do we want to do some self promotion? So, where can people find your stuff? Ready, go.
All right, you can find me on YouTube and on Kaiju Kim. That's my name, Kaiju Kim. I have a live show called Chill with Kaiju Kim, where I chill and talk with other Godzilla fans and members of the kaiju community. I stream live at on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and you can follow me on Twitter at Kaiju Kim to keep up with my updates or just listen to the random thoughts I have throughout the day. And yeah, I'm also on Twitch now, so twitch.tv/chill with Kaiju Kim. So if you're more of a Twitch user, you can find me on there as well. Where else? I'm on Instagram. I don't really use it that often. Kaiju_Kim. But
Yeah, I don't use Instagram a lot anymore either.
yeah.
I've thought about expanding to Twitch, but I've not done that yet either. But that might be something I may talk with you about later to be like, hmm. Um, but anyway, thank you so much, my friend, for joining me and having this conversation. I really think that it's important that we kind of just like humanize our experiences and have conversations with them about people, well, with people who can like encourage the histories that we have with these films and characters. I think that it's so important. So, thank you for being my first guest on the show.
It's such
Um,
an honor to be your
I
first guest. Thank you for
know.
having me.
Anytime. But anyway, thank you all, my friends. Tune in on the first and last Sundays of every month at 4 p.m. For an episode of Growing Up with Godzilla. Anyway, have a great rest of your day and talk to you soon. Bye.